this is the Grassy Knoll. With me, once again from Colorado, is Bill Zabel. We're talking about Denver International Airport, also known, in fact, officially known as New World Airport. This is part 2. And those of you, whether you're listening to this live or whether or not you are going to listen to the archives, anything but in your car, let's put it that way. I know, a lot of folks just like to burn a CD and take it with them. That's not going to help too much with this kind of show because it's going to have some visuals involved with it. You can go, and you said you have them up there on phantomchasers.net, right, Bill?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is the link they should click on?
They can click on conspiracy links and scroll halfway down the page, and they will see the little photo of DIA, and it'll say DIA, what's going on, and you just click on the title, and it will take you to that page.
All right, and you can also go to Vyzygoth.com, and you can look at the photos. You can find them on the left-hand side of the page. It'll say New World Airport Murals. Okay, now, why don't we do that? Why don't we start with the murals? And again, I apologize for being a little bit discombobulated here, but as I said, I just got hit on the PC with viruses, and we're doing this with baling wire and duct tape. Okay, Bill, first of all, what we see here is a document.
Mm-hmm.
I was once a little child who longed for other worlds. Why? But I am no more a child, for I have known fear. I have learned to hate. How tragic, then, is youth which lives with enemies with gallows ropes. Yet I still believe I only sleep today, that I'll wake up a child again and start to laugh and play. What's the deal on this?
I've been told, now, if you read down below, there's actually names.
Can you read it?
Yes, it is... Just barely read it. The last name is, it's Hennenberg or something like that, but the date is December 15th, 1945.
Okay, so this must have been, obviously, a note of a child during World War II?
Right.
Maybe, yeah?
Yeah, now, I asked about this one time when I looked, and one of the guys that, because I did what I don't think most people know, because it wasn't a real famous deal, was I did the advertising for the new Denver International Business Center, which sits just west of DIA. And I asked the guys involved in that about this. I said, you guys know a lot about the artwork, and what is this? They said this letter is actually a partial letter that a child wrote in the concentration camps in World War II Germany. And it's only part of the letter, from what I understand. It's not the whole thing. There's like a whole, treatise in this thing. And I thought, well, okay, but, at least you could explain to the viewers, that go through DIA that would look at this, because they would just read this little part, and I think coupled with the other murals, they might begin to wonder just what kind of strange stuff is going on, because they never explain it. And I've seen the plaque, the mural, and they don't explain this. So it's kind of bizarre in itself that you would only include this little part where obviously this child, when they talk about I only sleep today and I'll wake up a child again, it's really talking about death. Obviously this child is either facing death or they know that they're going to die or think they are.
Well, yeah, it is quite a morbid letter, but you can understand, given the experience that a young person would have. As a quick aside, if you will, Bill, this is so ironic that this is happening to me in my life, because being the age I am, I was very young when one of the independent stations in New York, WPIX Channel 11, whose logo was the Trade Towers, ran a lot of World War II footage. There were series like Victory at the Sea and so many of them. And I remember looking at the footage of young children, and I said to myself, not so much at that age when I was watching it, but those memories were emblazoned in my brain. And I remember saying, later on, what a bummer that when one is born into life, that one might have had the draw of being, say, born in Poland in 1930, being 5 years old, and like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Watching the rise of what would be World War II. Also, if you happen to be corralled into concentration camps or work camps or whatever. I mean, you got one shot in this life, and you get beamed to the earth. Like, what a bonus,
Mm-hmm.
However, what I find interesting, Bill, and I think you'd agree with me, that we have been dropped in a particular epoch that might be as horrible, if not more horrible, than World War II, depending on when it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Because what is coming, whether it's WW3, which I would assume it is, I think Revelation would bear out some kind of global conflagration, but, they're talking about a time unprecedented in murder, mayhem, chaos, destruction.
Yep.
So, as much as I felt bad, truly bad for people who were born into that particular epoch as well, it's like, well, guess what? You might want to prepare yourself because it looks like you're going to get the all-time doo-doo storm. So, At any rate, given that the first mural we're talking about is a replica, I guess you could say an artistic rendition of a note written by a, as you said, concentration camp child, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything on that before we go to number 2?
No, there is a shape in the background, and I've been told that all of the shapes mean something if you can figure it out.
You mean the one that's throwing a shadow, so to speak?
Yeah.
Beyond the letter?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the guy that I talked to said he didn't know what they all were, but that he had talked to the original artist, and the original artist had told him all the shapes mean something. He says they all relate to other objects that are, in the frame, which, artistically speaking, they would. I would just have to say that if I went to an art museum, I would not expect to see something like this. There's people that have painted renditions of, the landing on Omaha Beach and all that kind of stuff, and, we understand it. This kind of stuff is a little bit morbid. And when you look at this, this letter, the way it's curved, the way it's sitting in this painting, you don't really get a good indication other than the name and the date on the bottom of what's going on with this person. And it's almost like somebody is teasing you a little bit, like, figure it out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the only thing I can read into this, other people might have their own impressions, no doubt. And I'm trying to get back up on my computer so that I can take IMs. It looks like it's going to happen. And folks, if you want to jump in on this, by all means, use Vyzygoth if you're using MSN Messenger, and you can also send emails to vyzygoth@hotmail.com. I can take them. Lady Viz has just told me that she took a look. I guess I would have done this if I had my magnifying glass. It says the date on it is December 18th, 1943.
1943, okay.
All right. I don't know, Okay, yeah, I think it does. But, because obviously in 45 they could have been liberated.
Yeah, that might have been a liberation date.
December 18th. All right. As far as the shapes go, it looks to me like it's almost, again, saber-like, which we'll see later on. It's got that kind of, swoosh to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that background, why like that? So anyway, still strange. And like you said too, even Pilot Pete, when he was there, it's going, like, is this a place for that, really? And that's what you're saying too. Why?
Yeah.
Why there?
Yeah, if you're going to do something like that, down here at the Denver Historical Society, they have a place for World War II imagery, and I've been in there, and it shows a lot of stuff like this, but it's more real world. It's not this imaginary stuff like you're looking here. And I think that the murals, as you look at them one by one, they're a picture. They're kind of like a film strip. If you put them together and you look at them going through them, it's like you're progressing through something. The problem is if you look at the rest of the airport, from the political and financial scams to the men and women who wanted this thing in and their connection to a lot of icky stuff in this world, it's obvious that, overall somebody's trying to send a message, not just with the murals, but the whole airport. The whole thing is just one big, banner advertisement on a website.
You and I talked about this before we came on yesterday, and I think it's something we have to get a grip on. I mean, that's not a derisive statement to make about you, me, or anybody out there. But, we have made excuses, even after we've gotten it, about the Masonic symbolism in our country. And, there are people who believe that George Washington really was the real deal, and he eschewed Masonry later on. But you know what? Why would anybody do that? I mean, honest to goodness, I don't. These guys were supposedly Christians, baloney. Not the founding fathers. What was Jefferson and what was Franklin? He's a rake. But my point is, they load the country up with this, and you don't do it unless there's a point to it.
Right.
And we're still seeing it with this. Now, go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's when you look back even in the first years of this country's existence and what little money the government had, it was just starting off, to put all the symbology into Washington, D.C. and into New York and places like that is a lot of money. Back in those days, you didn't spend money frivolously like you can today.
Well, you don't have it. You just spend air.
Yeah. And to see the way that they took such care of laying out Washington, D.C., and the way you can get the pentagram out of that, it's like, you don't do that by accident.
No.
You don't just accidentally lay down marks and do that.
I'll be reading chapters from a very short book. Actually, it's a spiral-bound manuscript called The Conspiracy by John Wright. It was sent to me by a listener in Nebraska. Very, very interesting. Probably could have gone in depth, probably could have done, a tome on it. But he's a Christian who's taking what symbolism there is. And you know what? Really, it goes beyond Masonry. This is about Mystery Babylon religion. When I go on shows sometimes where I got to watch what I say because people can't figure out that there's upper degrees of Masonry that are, not the nicest guys in the world, they all get mad. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about the guys down the lodge. I'm talking about what goes beyond. Of course, none of these people ever read Albert Pike or Manly Hall or anything like that, so they don't even know about their own thing. But, I mean, this goes beyond Freemasonry, right down to the satanic overtone. It's not even overtones, it's overt. So now we see this happen again, this kind of garishness. I mean, the Masons have a cap or a cornerstone out there. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And also, folks, you can see that by hitting Bill's site, phantomchasers.net, and he has a link that will take you to what's been a long-time site there in GeoCities, where you can see the cornerstone, you can see the Jefferson maps and stuff, the layout of the runways at that time. So what I'm saying is that if they've stamped this, it means something. If they stamp DC, as you said, and who laid it out but the French Freemason Lafont, so they've done it here. So this is more than just a regular airport. You don't name it New World Airport. You don't put the symbology in there unless there's a reason. And again, Mystery Babylon religion strikes once again.
Yep.
We are the New World Order, folks. We're the ones bringing it on. The United States is the New World Order. It was meant to be that. We are the federated experiment for what's going to happen globally. All right. Can we go to that second image?
Sure.
All right. What we got here? And folks, if you're watching this again, you can hit it from both Bill's site and mine, New World Airport murals. And what we have here are obviously children, we should say 3 races. Teddy bear there. And what is this? Is this books or blocks? What's the story behind this one?
These are actually blocks. These are bricks from destroyed structures. If you look behind the woman in the back wrapped in the blanket, you can see what look like the wooden wall of a building or a hut or something, and it's all torn from the top down. You can see how it's shredded. And all 3 of these women are laying in the rubble of once was. Whether it be their home or whether it be just represents a city or a community, they're asleep in the destruction of what was. And if you look up in the right-hand corner, you can see the saber coming down towards them.
Now, this is just a snapshot of something that's larger. Was that stormtrooper in there at all?
Yes, he is. If you actually look, these are all sectional pictures.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically what they did was that they couldn't get the whole thing in view and give anybody detail. So when they took the photos, they started from the top, got real close, took a photo, then went down a little ways and took another one. If you put JPEG 2 and JPEG 3 together, you have the stormtrooper Nazi guy in the big green uniform on Mural 3, got an AK in one hand and the saber in the other, and the woman in the one image is sitting right below the stormtrooper.
Okay, so if you play back and forth between what we're going to call graphic 2 with the 3 children, which are below his saber, and then you go down to 3, you can see the continued structural destruction. You can also see another individual who you can't see in graphic 2. And that person happens to be in a... oh, wait, no, is that the same?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Okay, I got it now. All right. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
All right, I see. Okay, now we got the stormtrooper. Yeah, now what's interesting is there anything to the fact that it's kind of a... If you think, I mean, I would even call it Russian. You know, the great coat.
Yeah.
You know.
It could be Russian.
And also
the
hat. And also, and on the hat, of course, is a symbol that we've all, held dear. But the eagle is something that, honestly, has always been associated with fascism, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you could say the double-headed eagle is also an occult Ordo ad Chaos symbol as well.
Yeah. And you notice he's wearing a gas mask, or
Darth Vader,
kind of a skeleton-type face, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been told that people have seen the mural up close and looked up, said it definitely looks like a gas mask, because the front, where his mouth should be, they actually have a little screen painted in there, but you can't see it in these pictures, because you can't get close enough.
The screen...
You actually walk right up to these murals.
The screen being...
like a filter type thing on the front.
Okay. I'm wondering, what the deal is, why the saber also, why the AK. I mean, you got something, obviously, it may mean nothing, I understand, but you've got a weapon that seems to be kind of obsolete when you've got an AK, with you.
Mm-hmm.
But,
you notice he also has a sidearm, too.
Yeah, and a sidearm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless this is supposed to represent all the fascism of all the worlds throughout time, you know what I mean? Those who use the saber, et cetera, et cetera. All right, what's with the train of people off to the left-hand side? I'll never get as close a look as you've had on it.
I've had a little bit closer look, and it looks to me like these people are like riding a stairway to heaven, I guess you could say it is. If you look at it in person and you get a good look at this photo, you can tell that walkway keeps going upwards towards the sky. And that's pretty interesting. It's, to me, it's just a symbolism of what we've seen throughout history, where whenever governments go wrong and they go after the people, you have either whole herds of people that are either killed or they are pushed out of their country. You end up with a lot of refugees. These could be refugees, or because the thing is slanting upwards towards the sky, these could be people that this soldier has killed and has sent them onward.
All right. A couple things. One, can you tell that these people, one, are actually running, and two, can you see if under a magnifying glass whether or not it's like a joyful running or trying to get out of Dodge?
The only thing that I can see is there's one person that seems to be turned around looking at the Darth Vader guy. The others are running, and there is a very shocked expression on his face from what I can see. So I would say that it's a running, like trying to get away, like, they know this thing is coming, whatever it is or whoever it is. And so they're like trying to get away from it.
Well, the other thing is we see kind of into this, whatever you want to call it, tunnel or swoosh. But is that also part of what arcs behind the stormtrooper's head?
Yes. Yeah, it arcs around and comes up over his head. And in front of him, it goes down almost to the ground in front of him.
You know what I'm also thinking about too, and this is what first hit me, and that is we are headed for what is the lie from the pit, and what we most associate with Nimrod, and that is the Tower of Babel, and trying to reach to the heavens and be as God, which is what the one world government will try to do as well, considering it's manufactured by the same entity, which is Satan. So that's what kind of hit me also, that, are we looking at a Babel, one big happy family type of symbology here?
Yeah.
All right, shall we move to the next one?
Yes.
And here we have, it's a pullback, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, and it gets even more interesting, because now as you get to the foreground in the lower left-hand corner, you have, obviously, mother and child, which has all kinds of inherent symbology there as well. Yeah, I mean, whether it's Mary and Jesus' child, or whether it's, the story of Nimrod and, obviously, and his mother Semiramis. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the mother, again, related very much to occultism. And then you look up even higher, and what do you have? A rainbow.
Yeah.
That's the swoosh that it turns into. I get it now. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so this gets better as you're pulling back.
Yeah, and if you look to his immediate right, you see close to his knees, what would be his knees, there's like a little flame color orange there. And then further down to the right and lower, it looks like the remains of a building. And you can only surmise what maybe they're trying to enlighten you to there. I've been told by people that they think that that's the WTC towers.
Well,
no, it doesn't quite look like them, but
I'll tell you what. You can make it look like anything you want to, because obviously there are images where when you looked at that very first close-up with the children, what looks splintered behind there too reminded me, obviously, of what we saw with the fascia of the towers, kind of like just kind of sprocketing up. But of course, it also harkens back to Berlin and England and such. So, what's this guy done? Has he got himself a dove on the end of his saber?
It looks like it.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look if you look at it real close, the dove is going downward like he's falling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like he's been killed, honestly, Mm-hmm. Also, if somebody wanted to know what site it is, go to my site. Just if you're on the computer right now, go to Vyzygoth.com, left-hand side, New World Airport murals. That'll get you there. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we get it with the dove. All right, this is the bad guy. We go down to the next frame, or do you have something else you want to add to that one?
Nothing really more to add to that one.
Now, I see an exit door on the left-hand side. Is this mural like, is it a wall mural, like ground level to the ceiling, or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this goes from the ceiling to the floor. All these murals do. Like I said, you can walk right up to them, and they are in the Jepson concourse in the upper level in what they call the gallery. If you walk through the concourse, anybody that's ever been to DIA, and look up stairs from the Jepson concourse, it's all open ceiling, and you can look around the top and you see these murals. And the way you get to them is on either side of the concourse, they have stairs that take you up to the second level. And they call it the gallery.
Okay. Okay. Also, we have a comment. It said, the whole thing is a depiction that, and this is a quote, unless, all right, it's a little bit rugged language here. It says that unless we turn to the NWO and be like little children, ready to be led by them, what is being depicted here will be our future. They are telling us the choice is ours, with a derisive ha, Also, postscript says they must have planned this for centuries. The fallen angels had to have aided on this. The images are legion. And that's another whole situation as well. And by the way, also, I just want to ask you, Bill, one of the things we left out, in which this listener also sent something to me with regard to the New World Airport. One thing we kind of forget about, because it doesn't seem as spooky, and I guess we kind of like poo-poo it now, because actually this particular organization has almost been, almost engendered by people because of The Sopranos, And that is, was there any kind of talk about mob activity?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you talk about the money that went into that and the guys that showed up to the dedication, I've got a photo somewhere. I've got to dig it out. It was in the Rocky Mountain News, and if I can find it, it'll be up on my website. They show all of the people that were at the opening, and here in Denver, we had a mob group. They're all in federal prison now. They were called the Small Dones. And the great-grandson of one of the Small Dones was actually there at the dedication, and he actually got to speak, and I thought, why is a great-grandson of the biggest mob criminal family in Denver speaking at the opening of DIA? So, yeah, there's mob money in that, and the mob's, a mobster's great-grandson came in and spoke, so, yeah, there's a mob connection.
Yeah, and one aside real quick, and that is, I never watched The Sopranos. I haven't had cable like in a million years. But I think one thing that people have to remember, and that is they're making warm and fuzzy a group of people who have killed the husbands and wives and children and fathers of other people. And nobody wants to be involved in something like that. So just think about it. They're murderers for the most part. They're thieves for another part. And to make them or lionize them or make them look, I don't know, acceptable. I mean, folks, think about it. I mean, where I lived, I kind of got on the streets just after one of the, the last real big surge of violence. I could go to a restaurant across from the old Palisades Amusement Park, which overlooked the Hudson, and that same place was a barbershop where I guess it was Willie Moretti was shot like 700 times. It's not pretty, It's people got to remember that. So, at any rate, yeah, one of the things that this listener also stated was there was mob involvement also. I want to see if I can read some of this without giving away too much. If you can just bear with me for a second. Let's see. I don't think I want to do that just in case it might be too indicative of who this person is. I think I'll just let that go. But yeah, I think that this listener also believed that whatever was happening might have been, I think I got this right, might have been controlled by the St. Louis mob. I don't know if something had happened or if there was any kind of vacuum in Denver at that time. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I know MDC Holdings, which created a front company to buy up the land for DIA and turn it over. MDC Holdings was all mobbed up. That whole company was mob. And people play down the mob here in Denver, but unfortunately my grandfather knew them all. He was a taxi driver. And when you're a taxi driver, you get to meet these people. And they always told him, they say, oh, you ever need anything done, give us a call, that kind of thing. And he always told me, he says, stay away from these people, don't go to their gambling halls, don't do this, don't do that. And I said, are these people even exist in Denver? And he says, oh, yeah. And I said, well, how come you never hear about it? You always hear Chicago and New York. And my grandfather never could understand it. They always played down the mob here in Denver like it didn't exist.
I think we also discount the fact that they are an aid. I would assume, like in Italy, for instance, in Sicily, to the P2 Masonic Lodge there, and might do some of their bidding as well. So they're not, the Cosa Nostra or whatever is not necessarily detached from this whole New World Order episode, although we don't kind of really equate it with it, but it's probably a prong.
Right.
However,
and I think people have to remember that without the help of the mob, we probably would not have stopped the sabotage to our Navy ships during World War II in dock, because the mob controlled the docks. And we would have had a hard time getting new ships commissioned and get them out of the docks without getting them blown up. Most people don't know about that part of the history. They know about the mob, helping us, in World War II in Italy so that we could get our soldiers in there. I mean, basically the mob cleared the way so that we could get into Italy and places like that. What they don't know is a little-known history where the United States Naval Intelligence Office contracted with the mob to get rid of the spies in the naval shipyards.
Now, I never thought about that episode, but now, thinking the way I do, I'm wondering if it isn't a case, too, of creating the problem so they could supply the solution.
Yeah.
Because, I'll give you, it's like big protection. I mean, one Christmas, as you know, the Italians are big for fish and Christmas and all this stuff. So myself and Officer Conti went down to Fulton Fish Market. He was running the store for his father before he became actually a policeman. And now remember, this guy's going to be a cop. So we go, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. We pull up in a pickup truck. It's cold, and there's like 55-gallon drum fires going here and there. And he goes, listen, I'll be right back. I watch him leave. He goes to these 4 guys, and he reaches in his pocket, and he fans out some bills. And I come back, and he comes back to me, and I go, is that what I think it is? He goes, yeah. He says, what it does is it protects my parking place and protects my vehicle. So it's like, well, if you don't pay, what happens? They're the ones that'll, bash your vehicle. So, so even in the Navy times, I mean, who knows really, whether they weren't making a little big for themselves, it's hard to say, but.
Right. And when we look at the New World Order and the airport and what they're doing, take a look at the U.S. military and what it does around the world. Countries that are very partial to us never seem to have terrorist attacks. Countries that flip us the bird suddenly end up getting bombed. And you have to ask yourself, is the military just another mob organization being used to either protect you or break your kneecaps, so to speak?
Yeah. Easy choice.
Yeah.
Also, we got an interesting IM. It says, I remember having to vacate the Travelers Insurance Tower where I was working in the early 80s after Jimmy Hoffa ended up missing. Someone had threatened to blow up the building because he owned the liquor shop in the lobby, Southfield, Michigan. Also, I've been to the restaurant in Rochester, Michigan, where he was last seen. So, yeah, okay. All right, thanks for that. And also, the listener said that it's good that I do not say anything, and I figured that, so I appreciate that. And I won't. We got a whole lot of responses here. And, Bill, I hope you don't mind if we go over. Is that okay with you? I mean, I don't know if you got something pressing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Also, folks, because I had some problems in the beginning, just to recap, something happened, and the PC just locked up, and I had to switch over to the laptop. So, I mean, it took some while, and I don't know how many of you I lost when I had to bring down Live 365. Again, we're getting some other... okay, the wise guy from Utica says, I scrolled ahead. These pictures look like illustrations in Jehovah's Witnesses publications. But I mean, I've seen who this artist is. I mean, this is the genre that he works in with these vivid colors, little almost Aztecian, can we say? Do you know much about the painter? Did I say author? I mean painter.
Yeah, the artist himself is from New Mexico. He was up here during the dedication of the airport, and I desperately tried to get to talk to this guy, and he was surrounded by publicists and, I don't know, could have been bodyguards too, but they weren't real big guys, but you couldn't get near him, and I really wanted to ask him, and since I couldn't get near him, I started looking for literature. They said they had a pamphlet out about him, and I picked up this pamphlet, and I was looking at some of his other work, and all of his work follows the same theme. He's done a lot of, like, Aztec, Native American type paintings, and it always has the same thing. It's always people wandering around like, they just got bombed out of existence. He's got one of the old, Aztec pyramid, and the Aztec people are walking up to it like they're walking up the stairway to heaven. It's bizarre. All of his work has the same themes.
When we're looking at this image, and I forgot which one it is, it's even a further pullback, and it's to the left of where we were with the stormtrooper on the right-hand side of that exit door.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we've jumped over to the left-hand side of the exit door, and apparently, now what do we got here? Is this like a funeral or something, or?
Well, what all this is, in this photo here, like I said, when I was out there, I didn't get this close of a look at them because I was in a hurry. I was going through the airport. This is where you see all these kids, and they've got flags from around the world, and some of them are happy, some of them are sullen. But if you look at them real close, the one kid down in the, not far to the right, but down towards the bottom where that little, it looks like a flag unfurls down to the floor.
Like a scroll, yeah.
Yeah, there is a whole bunch of weapons there, and the kids have a flag wrapped around it, and they're holding it. And there's the exact same thing on the opposite side of the painting in mural number 6, the next slide.
All right, when I'm looking here, what we're talking about is 5 now, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I also see that, well, it looks like things are getting better. Obviously, the two doves are, they're perched on top of the AK?
Yes.
All right, let me break with some comments. One, this is the Irish wise guy from New York City, TR. Demonize the Eshkatan. If you've ever listened to the Collins Brothers, Bill.
Yeah.
You can't get through a show without that. All right, enough of the levity. Let's see.
You'll notice that the rainbow continues too, from the mural on the right side of the door. It continues on through.
Right, a little Pink Floyd action there.
Yeah.
Also, okay. Hang in there, we got something that says, okay, the first picture says, all right, I guess Lady Viz has been looking even closer. It says 14 years old, died December 18th, 1943. So that's the story on that child. She's blown it up, I guess, with Photoshop or something. So thank you for that, Lady Viz. Also, another comment. This is from somebody who was a U.S. Air Force lifer, I guess, about the military. I definitely agree. The military is one big organized crime vendetta with all the good, innocent people in the forefront making them look good, just like the Masons. All right, thank you for that. We're going to move on a little bit more. Okay, now we're swinging a little bit more to the left. Who took these photos, by the way?
These particular photos here, they came from a website that Bob found. Now, his photos are different in the documentary.
Yeah.
They're closer up than these, but he lost the original documentary, and then I found it and put it out for everyone. But these photos here are different. These come from, I'm trying to think, he said the website, and I think he knows the people that put it up. I'll find out where the website is, and put that link up on my website so you can see the original description of the murals. Looks like the person who did the original website was just like a visitor to DIA, and they hung around long enough to take pictures and ask people questions.
Can you see better than I? And folks, if you can see, on the left-hand side, what we also see are like, there are flags juxtaposed of representing nations who have been at war or have been at each other for a long time. Like we can see in the lower left of center, you've got a Brit flag and an Irish flag. Mm-hmm. That's clear. Over to the right, I see the Star of David, and I don't know if that's next to, say, the Palestinian flag or whatever. But anyway, I'm just taking a look around here also. Now we got the stormtroopers dead.
Yep. Yeah, he's deflated, laying at the bottom down there.
Okay. All right. And then we also have flags in the upper left-hand corner. Mm-hmm. I can't make that out. It almost looks like Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Iraq. And if you look at the flags, all of them are wrapped around weapons, and the kids are holding them.
Yep. Correct. All right. So we're to the end of war here. The Wicked Witch is dead. We go to the next one. Now this is kind of strange for a lot of reasons, and also the flags on the left. I forget who the one to the far left. I know it's not the American flag. It's another flag that's got stars, and I can't remember. You know what it is? It's Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah, it's one star inside the crescent.
Yep.
And then that person's with this individual, and the flag I can't identify. It's India, I think. I think it's India.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the kids look like they're from India that are holding it.
Right. You know what's interesting, too, is obviously this problem's between India and Pakistan being Islamic crescent and star right there, and India being basically Hindu.
Yep.
Now, what is with the X's and O's?
That I have never figured out. I've asked people, and one person thought, how like you play a random game of tic-tac-toe to see who wins. And if you've ever seen the computer version of tic-tac-toe, it's a real, you have to real quickly put in your X's and your O's to win. And I'm wondering if there's something about that, like a game of tic-tac-toe almost. Like, okay, you put an X here, I'm going to put an O here. Almost like competition or controversy maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, something's going on with that as well, though.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost thinking of computer bytes, but that would be zeros and ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we just got something, maybe you can help out here. Listener says, There's a video that shows a mural wall at DIA, I think, but I've only seen it once, and it was on this video. I have not come across it before. Could you ask Bill about it? It shows a person wrapped up in an American flag, and in the middle is a face which seems to be split into 3 different personages. It was hard to tell from what little I was able to see. In the video, it was impossible to get a really good look at the thing. Is this familiar to you at all, Bill?
No, it's not.
All right, well, I'll have to look at it. I did get a bunch of video links that I'll have to go back and take a look at. So I couldn't help out there. I'm just looking over another one. All right. I won't read that. That'll be for another time. Okay, so we're moving on now. Everybody's happy. And folks, we're going to run over. So if you can stay with us, we appreciate it. Obviously, you can hit in the archives if you have to, but we're going to do a little bit more here. Probably run a half an hour over. All right. Now we keep panning further left, and of course, yes, once again, all the weapons are wrapped up in flags.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too, because in the one world situation, you don't want sovereignties.
Right.
So I wonder what happened. All right, now the flags do what? And do we get rid of the flags? I mean, I don't know if we're going to see this at the end of the murals, but it seems interesting that they'll play the sovereignty game, at least for the sake of this symbology.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I forgot to do, the next image is one that's only half exposed. And it's funny because down here in Florida we have the Alafaya River. Mm-hmm. And if you notice on the scroll, it's Alafaya or Alafia, whatever you want to do. Down here they call it Alafia. I wonder what the history is behind that. If anybody's searching around who's listening, if you can find something that might explain why that word would be there. Obviously, whoever named that river in Florida near Tampa did it for the same purpose.
Yeah. And that's the slide. Yeah, that's the slide that didn't come out right.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I never could figure that out.
Well, yeah. Actually, we've seen it from for a greater distance.
Yeah.
What we're missing really is just what was below. We were talking about it with the Union Jack and the Irish flag and such, and that's what we're missing in that half-exposed photo. Also, okay, the stormtrooper's dead. Nothing further there. They got the saber away from him. All right, now, I've gone down further, and again, I can't identify the language with that Pacoya, whatever it is. And that reminds me of something, too, which apparently isn't that nefarious, but there seemed to be on the floor of the Denver airport a number of images, almost looking horoscopic, if you will, with what seems to be some Navajo words and also some landmarks. Nothing necessarily nefarious in that. Is it actually, it could be a map.
Right.
But as far as the Navajo words and such, it doesn't seem like there's anything embedded in that, does there?
Well, I
does
haven't seen any embedding up close. Like I said, when I've been through the airport, it was, it was before 2001, but it was still in a rush back then. They didn't want you just standing around for too long. And I thought, man, here's a guy with a camera that probably thinks, I'm a terrorist even before 2001. So I was walking around real quick looking at things. I do know that the Navajo words are supposedly there to lift a curse.
Oh.
When they first started construction on this airport, they had, I can't remember how many different Indian nations show up at a city council meeting. And that actually, and my uncle told me about this too, because when he first bought that land out there when they were farming back in the late 60s, early 70s, they used to find Indian arrowheads all the time out there, pottery, you name it. And the Denver Historical Society said that there were actually Indian wars on that land. They actually had fights between different groups of Indians. And I don't remember which ones, but Navajo doesn't sound like the group that was there. I think it was the Utes and the Grand Mesas Indians from, I think they're from up in the mountains that had a war out there. And the Indians actually, during groundbreaking, supposedly went in and blessed it. And I have been told that the Native American language in the floor is the prayer that they prayed over the land to appease the spirits.
Okay. So much for my claim that nothing doesn't stand for anything. Well,
I don't know because they never get specific, so there's no way to know for sure unless you can find somebody that speaks Navajo that knows what those words mean. but I've been told that those words are the same words they spoke to get rid of any curses from the spirit.
Well, are these the same Native American wars that you refer to that took place around Columbine?
Yes, the exact same thing.
And let me ask you this. We call it Red Rock because of a certain reason, but was Red Rock a place for anything that was exceptionally bloody?
Yes. The wars in the Red Rocks region where the amphitheater was so bloody that the Indians wrote down those wars. They actually wrote them down, which they had never done before in Colorado history, were so bloody that they said that the rain would not wash the blood off the rock.
As an aside also, for those in the Hudson Valley, you'll appreciate this. Up by Bear Mountain, there is a lake that they now call Hessian Lake. It is at the bottom of a very palisade-like mountain face. It is not the Palisades, but it's kind of an extension of it, and it is a sheer rock wall. Well, apparently during the Revolutionary War, as the British were trying to make their way, I guess, up to West Point, they got into an exceptionally bloody battle. And what happened is bodies fell into this Hessian Lake, so much so that it turned the water burgundy-colored. And the lake was known for quite some time as Bloody Lake. But as Bear Mountain got to be a tourist attraction, that's probably not the kind of name you want for the lake. And they turned into Hessian Lake, interestingly, because a number of those that were killed obviously were Hessian mercenaries. So much for my gratuitous knowledge of history, rather. Okay. Somebody has also sent an email and said it looks like the children that we were talking about that embraced the saber are beating it into a plowshare.
Exactly. I was going to mention that. If you look at it, it has now turned into a plowshare.
Okay.
It's no longer straight like a saber.
All right, we have something else, another comment. Take a look at the child, quote, child in the coffin. It is an American/Israeli depicted child. The watch indicates that her time has run out. Now, go to the part of the mural where the Israeli flag is shown. Okay, but there is no Israeli child there. Is there? No. Why? Good question. Now, would you bear witness with that?
Okay. Oh, yeah. They're definitely, what I saw in my impression from that coffin with the girl in it was that Judaism and Christianity, the time had run out for it. And I don't think that they're depicting just one girl, but I think they're using the girl to depict the religious practices of both these countries, Israel and America. And they're saying those people that believe that way, their time has run out.
Okay.
I also find it kind of interesting that the girl in the coffin, I think it's like on her lapel or close to where you would put a lapel in the coffin, there's a columbine flower there. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm rarely this way, but I am nonplussed, so... Also, we have a statement here. It says, then the leopard, or whatever that animal at the top of the mural is, the mother is all animal, but her children have human faces.
Yes.
Think transgenics. Good point.
Yep.
Also, the New York wise guy, this individual likes you. You're warped as well, so not my words, the listeners. Yeah, very interesting. Also, you also, when somebody also mentioned that you do have the rainbow also as a rainbow coalition. Also, I guess it's embraced somewhat by homosexual groups as well. Or gay groups, I guess I'm supposed to say. Okay. All right. Can we go down to the one, unless you got something where the word Frida is? If we go below that, if that's okay, unless you got something you want to address on that one.
No, not really.
Okay.
We've kind of gone over everything that we can really find. Imagine if you spent just a couple of hours with real high-resolution photos, you could probably dig out even more stuff out of these.
Well, then you have the one that's born apparently, obviously the individual is black, but is it African? Who knows, But again, I don't know the symbology of that kind of parchment. It looks like he's carrying, or a skin that's got a serpent on it. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Also multicolored as well, rainbow in color.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is interesting. I mean, is this like Free Willy? What's with the two whales?
Well, the whales here, I've looked at this over and over again, and you will, if you notice, if you look at these guys jumping up out of the water, it looks like there's waves right there, like they're coming up not just out of the water, but like they're, it's almost like a freedom thing, like they're breaking free of what's below, which would be the ocean where they're at. And the clouds in the background, I always thought were weird. It almost appeared to me like that could be like a mushroom cloud, like what you would see from a nuke explosion, but it's hard to tell. But the cloud up in the upper right is the one that always interested me, because it almost looks like a bird in a way. Almost looks like there's an eye up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the weird part, was these clouds. They're not normal clouds.
No, and you don't find those tones associated with, obviously, the sky, which is cerulean shades and such. Red is almost like volcanic, very emotional, and not really, Or else, once again, what we are seeing, perhaps though too, is you would get a situation like this at sunrise or sunset. But if you're dealing with the motif of occultism, you're looking at sunrise, the sun god.
Yep.
So, I'm also wondering if these whales are happy to get rid of the underground sonar that's driving them crazy.
Yeah. Do you notice the guy that seems to be reaching out from them from the cliff? If you look, there's something that flows off of him and then goes up.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, I wish I had another perspective of that. Is that going to happen? I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's...
Where does that go to? All right. Oh, all right. That, what that also is? That could be a continuation of what you might call, say, a cutout of what is surrounding or backdropping the people to the right, who's one of whom's arm is sticking out. I think that's kind of like a scallop, if you will.
Okay.
So. All right, now... I guess this is what the listener is referring to with the leopard. Oh, geez, like something out of the Wizard of Oz. That's another whole story.
Yeah. Well, they just admitted here the other day that they transplanted human DNA into some type of animal, and it was on MSNBC on the internet. And I guess human rights activists were going nuts over it.
Well, I think this is legit. What I saw, Angie sent along, I believe it was Angie that sent along a whole bunch of hybrids. Now, I don't think that was photoshopped. I mean, some of those really were the real deal. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, who knows how many human beings now are walking around that have been cloned, thanks to our alien folks.
Yeah.
So nobody has any idea how far it's gone. And this is just a little factoid or minutia, but one of the things I think all of us would agree on, tell me if I'm wrong, down here, we eat produce just about all year round. Only a short time do we have to go to South America for stuff. But I'm telling you, in the last year or two, and I kidded around with this with Jerry Guidetti of the Ark Institute, who sells hybrid seeds, do not tell me that we're not eating right now GMO food, produce. I've never seen a cucumber last 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we don't have to throw it away anymore.
No.
Because it doesn't rust. The lettuce doesn't rust, and I'm saying to myself, God knows what's in this stuff. What are you going to do? I mean, you got to do, you deal with what you have to. To the time I can go to get a garden, you take what you got. The Lord knows.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is. Yes, they're very strange. And, of course, it's funny because leopards, in Dante's Inferno, the sin of the leopard was the sin of incontinence. Not to be able to control his one appetite, sexually, otherwise, all driven. Yes. And finally, we have Quetzal.
Yep.
What in the world is that? Extinct? Okay. Does that project the fact that by in so many years, another species will be endangered?
I think so. When I was looking at this picture from a different view, you can see everything around him is like red, like there's trees in the background that have no leaves left on them, but it's all red, the background, like something burned them, destroyed them, made them extinct. And the bird, it's almost like if you look at him, it's like he's got this, I'm dying kind of look.
Yeah. You could call it a death swoon.
Yeah.
And also, the destruction of the environment.
Yep.
And its habitat. And I don't know if that bird has also got some kind of. We ought to get Andy Colden on this. There's got to be a Garuda or a Mothman thing happening here. Mm-hmm. And I'm serious, at least with the Garuda imagery. Yep. That seems to have taken place across centuries and knows every continent. All right, folks, we're going to go on a little longer, if you don't mind, probably just a half an hour at the max. What I want to do, and Bill, if this is okay with you, is pick up where we left off with the construction worker talking about his experience working at the New World Airport. Okay, and we'll come back and then we'll explicate it a bit and then we'll get out of here. Folks, if you can stay with us, we appreciate it. If you can't, you can always hit this in the archives. We had a late start because of the computer locking up, so I had to do a little dabba-dabba to try to get things up and running. Where we're going to enter this is at the halfway mark. It is a 22-minute file. We listened to 11 minutes yesterday. You can still go back and listen to that. At this point, this gentleman is speaking especially with one questioner in particular who was either very curious or a disbeliever or whatever, and they're just starting to talk about FEMA. I'm going to pick it up at 10:53. We're only going to have a couple of seconds of overlap, and then we'll get into the new stuff, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up. Again, this is a construction worker at New World Airport talking about his experiences. I'm going to change auto sources, and we'll get going.
Out here, they put enough topsoil on top of everything to where you cannot see it from the air.
Can we say that some kind of secret task force that belongs to the government is behind all of this planning, construction, and secret buildings?
I believe that this is FEMA.
What's FEMA?
Federal Emergency Military Aid. Management Agency. Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Federal Emergency
Management Agency.
Management
I believe
Agency.
that they constructed all this at the time that the airport was being built, because if they were to do something in this order, of this magnitude in the middle of nowhere, without something for the media to make...
FEMA, is this a branch of the CIA, let's say, or?
It's a branch of the federal government, and what their main objective is to come rescue America or Americans in time of need and in time of disaster. They're disaster aid.
If they're trying to rescue people, why are they building these kind of facilities underground in order to seclude people, as you said?
Well, I believe that such as the CIA and other IRS, FBI, and other government agencies, they really don't do what they say they're doing. They're actually they have cover names. They have another objective in mind, another mandated objective being ordered to them, not only by our United States government, but by the Illuminati.
Which is?
Which is the Trilateral Commission, which is the 8 families, the Rockefellers and such.
Where do you come out with all of these theories?
Lots of research, lots of reading. Lots of men across this country and lots of people across this country have learned through their own follies, through the New World Order's own follies, we've started to get a grasp of an overall picture of what they're doing to our country now and to us.
Okay.
But if they come out and tell us about something like this, we're smart enough to know that isn't
what they're saying.
They're saying. So they have to do things secretly like this and use other money to do it with, because FEMA cannot use that much money to do something like this. They're going to have to lump it in with a major federal grant such as we got on the DIA and slip in their little objective, which is to build these concentration areas down in here. And bear in mind, this will just be a central concentration area for a major breakdown for all these cities that fly in here now. This can handle a lot of airplanes from a lot of different cities. They can bring them in from other cities, distribute them all here in this process in a matter of 12 to 24 hours. Whole families, mass at a time.
Okay, why are you telling us all of this? What's the purpose behind it? Are you trying to warn
I'm trying to warn people and trying to get them to wake up and see what could potentially happen to their freedom overnight, where they could go to bed one day and think that they're free.
Well, what do you think is going to happen if we air this in a bunch of effects, bunch of consequences, a domino effect takes place, after this interview?
Such as what type of domino effect? Such as
problems with law agencies, federal authorities.
I think that it's inevitable that those things will take effect real soon, as they are, whether this being exposed or being not exposed. I think that has a lot to do with the delay in the DIA.
Let's say that this is the beginning of the exposure, and this thing, attracts more media, mainstream media, the big TV channels in town, channel 4, 7, and 9. What's going to happen when all of these media focus their attention on the things you're talking about tonight?
I don't believe that they will focus their attention on those. I believe that those media channels, our mainstream media channels, are bought and paid for by their federal government. They never tell us about these type.
Did you invite one of them?
Yes,
Did you invite?
We have invited them. They chose not to come.
Why do you think that is?
I don't believe that they're allowed to come and expose such things as this. Just the word that comes from above. I think that their superiors have told them that they are not to engage in any activity or any talking of anything that has to do with anything to this effect.
How many people do you think know about this secret construction?
I believe only a handful of the people that worked on these buildings here. The guys that did this runway were somebody separate. Each part of all of this in here were separate companies, separate contractors. They went through a lot of help out there. They didn't keep many foremen or superintendents. They just kind of put the things up a little at a time out in here with different companies to where nobody could get an overall view of really what was happening.
And you're understanding why that shape, those five buildings are arranged in such a way. What's the purpose behind it? It looks like a pentagon to me.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like an underground pentagon, and the thing about it is it's positioned in a manner to where you can exchange such as guards, food, prisoners from all points, from all around each other here, from one to another.
Oh, you did?
What would you do if the government sees this footage and releases a press release saying that none of what you're saying is true?
I would be expecting them to do that. That would be my first reaction to that's pretty much what I expect. I've never really talked to anybody about this before. That's why most people won't disclose things like this, is because they feel like they're just going to get ridiculed and they're going to get laughed at. People are going to just say, well, it was this or it was that, but it really wasn't what you were saying.
Okay.
But the question we have to ask ourselves is, what if it is?
We agreed on not showing your face. Why don't you want to come out openly about these things you saw?
People that disclose information like this and people that rock the boat for the United States government are usually found missing or dead.
You're afraid of being killed?
I am deadly afraid of retaliation on their part.
You think if I were to show your face, someone from the government would come and kill you? Or disappear you?
Definitely, without a doubt.
You think so?
I know so. I know so. Most of the people that I worked with on this job, it was a small crew. And I'd say 2/3 of the men that worked on this section of work out in here were from Mexico. They didn't speak English. We had a bilingual carpenter that helped us interpret to these other men. And the five carpenters, only one other one was from Colorado. The other 3 were all from other states.
Where are they? Where are these people? What happened to them?
We all split up after the job was done. The job was done.
You began the job 3.5 years ago? Is that my understanding?
It was finished.
It was finished 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
When the construction started?
I don't know exactly when it was started.
When did you start working on this project?
On this project here, I was working on in 1989. A 1990 boat.
That's more than 5 years ago, about roughly 5 years.
We also
and they finished 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, they finished the whole thing 3.5 years ago.
What else can you tell us? Maybe we're missing something, or
just
maybe you like to add.
Are large enough to carry large cargo planes in and out.
Underground.
Yeah, they're underground now, but they were built on ground. And then this whole thing has been covered. Everything out here has been covered with topsoil and restored to its original condition.
So
I believe that in a matter of one day with 2 bulldozers, you can clear it completely. You can clear all access to these buildings and to these 2 runways out, and maybe even create a bunker around with the dirt to shield yourself from anybody coming in.
You're saying that we can have airplanes in those runways?
Oh, yeah. We could have cargo planes flying in and out on these runways. These runways are twice as long as your main runways.
Than the ones for the commercial airplanes.
And if you can land Concords on these runways, imagine what you can do with these runways.
Well, obviously, this wasn't a mistake. Why would the people in charge of construction at the DIA build these runways and spend probably millions of dollars, in...
That guy gets annoying, you know that?
Yeah.
All right, folks, that was a construction worker who was working at DIA. Now, here's the situation. We want to thank Bob Bixler for filming a lot of information. He has given it to Bill Zabel. Bill's made a DVD. This discussion has video with it on the end of that DVD. It's interesting. Bob never meant for it to be, a prize piece. He may redo it in time to come, and maybe do a PowerPoint thing. But if it's crude, it's very long. But I've watched it. A lot of interesting points. But this comes at the end of it, and you can see the map that the individual drew. All right, now. For that to happen, Bill, what would you have done? Have people contact you via email, as they've done before with the Columbine information?
Yes. Yeah, same way.
Right.
Email me and say, what you want.
Okay. And they can do that by hitting you off the website. You get an email, contact us, right? Something like that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's phantomchasers.net.
Yes.
You'll see that link on my site, on the favorite links on the homepage, and also that accompanies all the audio he's done that's still up there. All right, so that was the DIA construction worker. Now, I got something about the, what we were talking about, the bird, the Quetzal. Mm-hmm. Andy from Utica sent something along. He said, not that Wikipedia is flawless, but it's got some interesting symbology as it pertains to what you would call mythology, southwestern Aboriginal people, South American Aboriginal, Central America. It's tied into Guatemala as far as currency goes, but it's got some kind of past regarding mythology and also probably Aboriginal legend. It also has to do, as Joe Schmo had mentioned, has it got something to do with gods? Yes, it does, Quetzalcoatl. So that's interesting that they should show that. I'm thinking about it now too, Bill. And with what's going on with illegal immigration and what we realize is a soft invasion that's being deliberately perpetrated by those who want a one-world government, that they would work so heavily with that Southwest or Central America or Mexican motif, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you straight out. First of all, I've asked the Air Force individual about concentration camps. And the individual said they exist. I said, are they being kept low-key? The individual said some are, some in plain sight. I've often wondered about Fort Dix, about which we hear a lot, which was obviously in New Jersey, a place where a lot of soldiers were cashed out, if you will, and was supposedly downsized, and yet things are going on down there. In fact, they just held something, and I thought it was interesting that it was at Fort Dix, which is supposed to be, gone the way of nickel candy, but apparently it hasn't. Some say also that that's one of the possible detention camps. That may be going on everywhere, though they don't have their military function like they did in years gone by. Do they have another function? It seems that they might. Now, let me ask you now, Bill, getting to the point. With regard to this being some kind of perhaps temporary holding place, perhaps distribution center, as the gentleman said, about sending people somewhere, for what purposes? Do you think that all of this, the cavernous, the spatiality, is this all been dedicated, do you believe, to something that has to do with detaining people?
I think it does, because it has a very unusual layout compared to other airports. When you go into the concourses, you are herded into chutes automatically. And, other airports, you just go through metal detectors and go on through. But this, you have to stand in a line in chutes to get up to the metal detectors. You just don't stand in a big crowd. And if you look at the concourses, and you can go to DIA's webpage, and you can see live feed of the concourses, everything is in lines, like you're herding people down a line. And in other airports, I have never seen that design. But then it gets worse when you get underground, because there are people, including Bob Bixler and others, who have been underground, down in what was, well, they alleged was a parking garage, but they've never used it for cars, but it is paved. And it's huge. It's just one story below the ground, and there's a chain link fence around it. You can't get in there and walk around on this little parking garage, whatever it is. They have K-rails, and then on top of the K-rails they have fences. And it goes all the way around this thing. And I asked Bob one time how big he thought it was, and he says they had the lights off, so it was hard to tell. But he said, take your average shopping mall parking lot, and that was probably about how big it was. And it was crazy, because there's no way, Bob says there's no way to get a car into it. He says there's no ramp down there. So he says, but it's paved, like a parking garage. And I mean, everyone just immediately thought the next thing. After this construction worker, and you hear him talk, the first thing is holding area.
All right, this is going to take some thinking, which I'm slow at. But I got to sit back and process all this, and I'll tell you why. We know that we did have the internment camps because of Japanese Americans. Mm-hmm. We also had camps for Germans who were captured and brought stateside. In fact, right here in Dade City, Florida, not far from where we are, there's a facility that later became a juice processing plant that held German soldiers. So we kind of forget that, and of course that's also, that whole period of Americana is captured by that book, what was it? My favorite German, what was it? Oh man, in Georgia. The Summer of My German Soldier or something like that. Does that ring a bell at all?
Almost sounds familiar.
Yeah, Summer of My...
There was a book about the Germans in the internment camp,
right.
Specifically soldiers.
Right, and she was...
But it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, and this took place in Georgia. So, all right, so now we know we had the internment camps, detention camps. In 1955, I've talked about this in a speech given by John Lord O'Brien at Harvard in April of 55. He talked about the existence of detention camps. And the reason I bring this up, this guy was a Republican, former Attorney General of Western part of New York, and he was giving a speech telling people in 55, be careful of giving up your freedoms for supposed security. 1955, and he also said that the concentration camps still exist, folks. All right, so he said it in 55. Now, Look magazine in 1968, I believe May, the editor of Look, very interesting because this was more a coffee table type of magazine that every home had along with Life. And he goes, I think his name is Hedgepath, and he writes an article about concentration camps, 1968. So they've never really gone away. There's no reason to believe they're still not with us, or perhaps even expanded. What is it for? We've heard at times, Bill, that it was going to be to house people temporarily if they were involved in a Katrina type of situation, which they were not, obviously, when Katrina hit. However, if you have a facility like New World Airport with these capabilities and nowhere else right now, what does that mean? And the reason I'm saying this is because does that mean that this comes at a time when the East Coast and the West Coast have incurred perhaps damage from a war? How does this play in also with the civil unrest that's going to occur when the illegal immigration gets to a flashpoint and the guns are sent out so that makes sure everybody starts getting into it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that all mean? I mean, is this going to be probably where it's safe, so to speak? You know, the mountains have always been historically, even biblically, somewhat invulnerable to what man can do.
Right.
You know? So do you want to hit off that at all? I mean, I don't mean to go on speculating, but is this telling us something about what's going to happen to this country?
Right. If you read the literature of the New World Order, you will realize that even they consider the Rocky Mountain region a safe area for them. Like we said yesterday, they've talked about moving the CIA headquarters here. The federal government has a huge presence in Colorado anyways. We're surrounded by military bases. Up until 1968, we were surrounded by Nike missile bases here. And by the way, on the southern side of DIA, there's 3 or 4 shut down Nike bases. But yesterday when I went out there, I found evidence that they are now doing something with them. They now have U.S. government signs back up where they were civilian property. So people need to understand this whole area where I live is a concentration of military and science power. Much of what we do in the military comes out of Colorado. For instance, Star Wars. In a little town called Frederick, north of here, is a little electronics plant where it's not open anymore, but they used to manufacture circuit boards. They did all of the circuit boards for the satellites, for the Star Wars satellite system. Eugenics started at Boulder, Colorado. Missile technology, even though it was done at Redstone and other facilities, the actual chemical processing for rocket propellant and all that was done at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. So the New World Order feels that there's a need for this place, and there's definitely a spiritual tie here for these people. Whether it's true that they're all out Satanists, whether they're New Agers, whether they've got a mix of philosophies, they feel a connection to this town, to this area, because their symbology here is just mind-blowing. If people ever come to Denver and not just DIA, but walk through downtown Denver, almost all of the new city and county buildings have pyramids. The roofs are actually pyramids with a window clear at the top. They spent $50 million to renovate all the Denver public schools, and over the entrances they have pyramids. All of their paintings are in the public schools and the Denver Public Library, similar to DIA, paintings of death and destruction, a lot of darkness. I mean, this area of Colorado, for all intents and purposes, belongs to them. I mean, it is New World Order here.
Well, I always felt that they were going to keep their playgrounds safe, like Switzerland and such, you know what I mean? And, of course, the mountains have an attraction. Everybody really does understand that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through a couple more emails, and then we'll wrap it up. But you're right about Colorado. We've kidded around a lot, but you know what? We really are doing it tongue-in-cheekly, but we're serious, too. And, of course, we see a mirror of that, what takes place also in West Virginia and in places in Pennsylvania. So, a lot of interesting things going on the ground, and who knows exactly just how extensive it is, but something certainly is going on down there. There's no two ways about it. And, again, like we said, how this all plays in. I just want to throw something out, and we can get an answer before we go off the air. Hey, LAW, you said something to me. It says the Quetzalcoatl will be released on 2012, supposedly. Can you clear that up for me? And by the way, if she gets a chance to email me again, Bill, do you have any idea about Quetzalcoatl, and are we talking about the god, 2012 Mayan calendar, all that stuff? Are you aware of any of this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been following that pretty closely.
Okay. You want to fill us in case she can't get back?
Right. Basically, the Mayans, and it's you're talking about the people today. These people claim to be descendants of Mayans. A lot of them are Native Americans here in the United States. Some of them are immigrants from South America. They have gone back a lot, especially the younger Hispanic Native American types, and they've put all this together from old documents, from basically the history books and the calendar. And the conclusion of a lot of these groups, and La Raza's involved in this, and a few of the others, and their supposition is that the end of the world is at 2012 when Quetzalcoatl comes back. It will be comparable to, say, when Jesus returns. The only difference is in the Christian Bible, when Jesus returns, everyone's saved, la-da-da-da-da. These guys have a very downturn to the end of the world, the end of the Mayan calendar. To them, everything just ends. Everything's just darkness. I mean, it's just death and destruction, but there's nothing beyond that. They never have a positive outlook beyond any of that.
All right, so you said groups like that. You're talking about the more militant groups, La Raza, Aztlan. Is this correct?
Yes, the Aztlan movement, La Raza. If you go to their websites, they just push this stuff like a Hollywood film.
Yeah. And so we know that they're getting funded by at least Carnegie, and I believe Carnegie and the Rockefeller Foundations.
Mm-hmm. And the Ford Foundation.
All right. Now, here's the deal I'm thinking. If they are nihilistic, then the whole idea is just grab the United States and you're the last man standing, you win.
You got it. I think that when it comes down to it, that's exactly what they want.
All right. What we'll do is, if LAW can't get in touch with us before time, I want everybody to know Kurt and Mo can't be with us tomorrow. This will spill over tomorrow, not so much with Bill, but I'll address whatever didn't go addressed in this particular show. But it's interesting, too, because I don't know if I sent you that file by that idiot who's a fellow with the Council on Foreign Relations and is an associate professor at Columbia. Shannon O'Neill, writing about how we really should have more illegal immigrants here because my generation is going to vacate jobs and there won't be enough people to go around. Are you hip to this? Apparently not.
I don't remember that particular email, no.
Well, it was an LA Times piece, Los Angeles Times piece, and I couldn't believe my eyes and ears. And by the way, I sent her an email, and and I'm going to read it tomorrow. She's not responded to me yet, but the last line I said, look, if you're going to write another article, why don't you just level with the American people about the North American Union and tell them where they're headed, the pike they're headed down, literally. Didn't answer. They're lying. These people are traitors. These people, I can't even believe that they're deluded into thinking one-worldness, globalization is good. And in the meantime, they're selling sacks of this crap, this vanguard of propaganda about, oh no, we need more. Oh, jeez. Hey, listen, Bill, thanks very much. We'll probably see you down the road sometime. Again, folks, if you want more information, if you want to hear and see that individual and the map that he drew of the IA, you can get that through Bill. He'll send you a DVD out. Take care of him, please, for his time and for the materials. Okay, we want to thank also Bob Bixler for really, being the genesis of this, and whoever else turned. I think it was Kay also that was involved in this. Mm-hmm. As we go, folks, if you don't mind giving me 4 more minutes, Bill, this is in tribute to you and that wonderful state you live in. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but do you know a group by the name of the Flying Burrito Brothers?
No.
Well, you're just going to love this. You're not listening to Live 365, are you?
No.
All right, you're going to have to listen to the archives.
Okay.
Thanks for being with me, bro.
All righty.